My favorite section is always the money section. We call it Money Matters, and it's getting clear on your offers, anything from pricing, whether you should do a Black Friday deal, and if you do, how should you do it? Should you discount your prices? How do you price the unsellable, like health or and the invisible? How do you price these things? And then also, what do you do when a client says they can't afford you? How do you deal with that, in your mindset? And also, here's a little script for you, for example, so that is probably my favorite section always.
Hey everyone, and welcome. I am Morgan Giss McDonald, and I have with us Christine Hansen, the award-winning business coach and consultant for online entrepreneurs who want to build a profitable business on their own terms. Christine is launching the brand new book, We Mean Business, the practical guide for creative entrepreneurs, coaches, and small businesses to build your brand and grow your business online. Christine, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Morgan. I'm so excited.
Me too, because you and I are both in online businesses. We have seen the ups and downs of like this world that has, risen up around creating an online business. We've seen the sketchy side, we've seen the amazing side, and what you're bringing to us, Christine, I am so excited about. Can you tell us a little bit about We Mean Business and what you hope people will get out of this brand new book?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this book. And in all transparency, it's not my first one, but this one I'm really, really happy about. Another book, very different topic, but this one I can feel it's just a game changer for anyone who is about to start or has already started an online business. Because truly, looking at everything that's out there, it's not a purely promotional book. Like that's my first huge kind of, hello sign to everyone. It's not a book where you will get just hints of answers and then you have to download lots of things in order to get the real answers. It was really important to me to provide a piece, a guide, as it is a practical guide, as we called it in the end, that people can take, they can open it, and they can get answers to their questions. And it's a beautiful compilation of work because it's based on a podcast that I had for 2 years with a friend of mine. And basically, I took everything out of that wisdom that was gathered through guests as well. So it's not just my own experiences, but we had amazing guests on there too. Lots of experiences, common wisdom, and really distilled it into what I thought was still the most relevant, would probably be relevant for years to come. And so it's really, if you imagine the digital marketing online world, whether you are selling coaching services or any, service providers, or whether you are an artist who wants to start online, or if you have a brick and mortar and you want to get an online presence, it doesn't matter. It's very difficult to find a piece of work that will take you from A to Z in terms of what you actually need. So this book is really going to take you from the strategy to the technical to the marketing, so that you have the nuts and bolts, but it also talks about the mental health and the personal health. And that is like the lubricant you basically need to have this whole machinery run smoothly so that you can build a business and grow a business, scale a business if you wish to. That is that you are aligned with, that makes you laugh and smile every day. And so as you will read it, it is very much written from my point of view, what I think about these things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that is what the industry says. Sometimes I will say, this is the industry standard. It can work for many. Here's my point of view on it. Pick what you feel works best for you. It is written, though, in a very conversational style. So it's not patronizing, I think. It's quite a lot of humor. If you know me, or if you don't even, you will know me by reading this book at the end. You can read it from chapter 1 till the last chapter, or you can jump and hop around and just pick and choose whatever you feel like. If you feel like I want to step up my email game today, then you will do that. We have little biz bombs, which is literally half a page of just like, bam, had I known that. We have toolkits and toolboxes where we literally list our favorite tools. And then I also have some words of wisdom. So if you want to go a little bit more philosophical, or if you have a day where you feel off and you want to throw everything away, then maybe dive into that section. So it's this beautiful companion that I'm just really proud of. I honestly think that it's the perfect book for a beginner, but also for someone who's stuck, like where it's not quite working. Read it again, look through new eyes, have a fresh perspective, see where the gaps are, and then, look at your foundation and maybe do a couple of tweaks.
Yes. Well, and so, I mean, even just thinking about how do you write a book about building an online business? And what I love, and you already mentioned it, was that you actually had these conversations with other people who were, had been building their own online businesses and growing their own online businesses. And you get to a point where after enough years of being in this business game, particularly online, and there are some particularities that to online,
Yes.
And you mentioned it at the beginning, whether you're an artist or brick and mortar or coach and you're moving online, there are some things that you just need to know about how it works with branding and with copywriting and all these things. And just to have like this breadth of here's what it's going to take.
Yes.
And I can't even imagine attempting a book like this. And I think what you've been able to do, Christine, is take all those conversations, you had basically years of thinking about this and saying, okay, if we were to start from the beginning, like what is the scope of an online business? And I love that, yes, you got tools and practical, and here's exactly what you need to do, and spiritual and mindset, and here's almost like who you need to be to really pull this off in kind of a way. Do you have any favorite sort of like sections, or I mean, gosh, you look at the table of contents and you're like, holy moly, this is like, for a while it was internally called like the business Bible, like the online business Bible. Right? Because that's what it feels like when you look at this table of contents. Are there any sections that you especially want to highlight and say, this book covers this that you might not expect?
My favorite section is always the money section. We call it Money Matters, and it's getting clear on your offers, anything from pricing, whether you should do a Black Friday deal. And if you do, how should you do it? Should you discount your prices? How do you price the unsellable, like health, or and the invisible? How do you price these things? And then also, what do you do when a client says they can't afford you? How do you deal with that, in your mindset? And also, here's a little script for you, for example, so that is probably my favorite section always. I like my own wisdom. Humble me. I honestly feel I had a couple of, because you need to understand that I've been in business for like half a decade, like more than half a decade now, or nearly a decade. And I've just seen a lot of BS happening. So I've learned a lot, and I've really found that now that I've come to be more seasoned in my life and in my business, I do have a strong point of view that I love, though. I can honestly say that I love the way that I think, which is a rare thing. So I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm very happy with it. So I do think that they will help a lot of people because I see them helping my clients that I'm working with now. The other part that I really like in We Mean Business is the glossary section. Because recently I've been in a group with a lot of people who are so excited to get an online course started of amazing offers, like photographers, gardeners, quilters, painters. There were the most phenomenal things in there, cocktail mixes, mixologists. And they get overwhelmed so quickly. And so we have a glossary where we actually walk you through the online language, because online business, digital marketing has its own language. And in the beginning, it's very overwhelming because you don't understand what is an CTA, what is an ESP, what is a freebie versus an opt-in. Is it the same? What is a funnel? What is a welcome sequence? And what is hosting? What is a domain? What is, what is a WordPress builder? What is the difference between, different websites? So in order to really be helpful, we actually put that in the very beginning of the book, so that you know what we're talking about. And also, if you consume other podcasts or other material, that you will feel like a pro from the beginning. Like you won't feel out of depth. And I saw so many become discouraged and just feel I'm overwhelmed. I'm going to shelve this for now. I had enough going on in your life, when you could start building the business that you dreamt of, that the world needs. If you have the idea, you have it for a reason. So I think we really threw everything on our wish list out there, and we had material to cover it. So then it was just a question of structure it. And it's here. It's a grand piece of work.
Yes. Okay. So what are some of the, I mean, you work with coaches, consultants, people building their own online business. You have this like ability to help people like see their blind spots, basically,
Yes,
right?
I do.
What are some of the blind spots that you often see people that they have, and how do you feel like that blind spot's answered in the book?
I think when I work with people, what I see a lot of the time is they have an idea, but they don't have like the cobblestones, the stepping stones to get there. And the other thing is their communication. So it's really often, it's too vague. And I ask very poignant questions as to, does this actually make sense? If I am this person, does that make sense? And we call it marketing, we call it branding and niching. And so we have beautiful chapters on that, where we will tell you step by step, ask yourself this question, ask yourself this question. Have you done this? Have you done that? Give you examples. This is a text that we see a lot, but it doesn't mean anything. Here is another example instead. So it's like painting by numbers, but you obviously do you, but you will have, a comparison. And I was a teacher for more than 10 years. I was an English teacher. I taught adults, I taught teenagers, I taught kids, I taught people who couldn't speak a word of English, and I taught people who could speak English very well, just to perfect it. So I think one of my talents is also to explain things in multiple ways so that can be understood by a multitude of people. So that is definitely also something that makes this a little bit more unique and entertaining and practical, maybe.
Yeah. And I think you hit right on the nose of something that's one of the biggest challenges that you see over and over again for people who are just starting their businesses, using language that's a little bit vague and language that's not compelling. And I help people get through their blocks, and you're like, no one knows what that means.
Yes.
And so
live your better life. It's like, sure, but what does that mean? Like,
yeah. How is that going to help the client?
Exactly. I'm a health coach for women. Okay.
Exactly. To do what?
Yes.
And some of those are the biggest hurdles to getting your first paying clients. And I believe that one of the most sort of helpful things about We Mean Business is that it's not just the theoretical, like here's how you come up with an ideal avatar. It's like, here's how you actually build a business that attracts clients, that makes money, that is fulfilling for you. And it is that connector piece. It's like, this is how it lands and looks and feels and tastes and
Yes.
in reality. And that's something that I don't see in the online space, and certainly not at this sort of accessible, approachable kind of medium of a book. Right.
Yeah. And I have a little bit of a different philosophy than the regular standard. So my branding exercise is different than, I would say, 99.9 brand strategists process, but I find it works superbly well for me and for my clients. So again, it's like a take it or leave it thing. Here's the standard, works well, but try it where you are in the center. It's a very egocentric book, not in a negative way, in egocentric, but in the end, your business is your business. You're the only one, it's like you are the life force of this thing. So helping people to actually putting themselves first. And my motto is always, for me, for you, for us, you do have to start with for me. And that is a thread that goes throughout the book as well. So that is definitely one thing. And the other thing is then to get clients giving you as many techniques as possible, like public speaking, podcasting, blogging, collaborations. Obviously, it's going to be up to a person to, implement as much as they can. But apart from that, I think you will have everything in there that you can possibly need.
Yes. I agree. So folks, if you're listening, you're like, oh, I think I need this book in my life right now. The good news is you can actually get a copy for free today. So if you go to paperravenbooks.com/we mean business, all one word, we'll link it up next to this video. It'll take you straight to the Amazon page. You'll see where you can get a free copy of the ebook. Go ahead and download that now while you're here and while you're thinking about it. Even if you're going to read it over the weekend or next week, that's fine. Just grab the copy while you can, and you'll be able to dive in. You'll be able to, take a look at that table of contents. And you'll see there's probably at least a handful of areas where you're like, yes, I want to know more about that. I know that I have some improvement to make in this area. And you can start going through all this content. As you mentioned earlier, Christine, it is something you could read cover to cover. It's also something that I even find that I am coming back to the content and saying, you know what, it's been a while since I refreshed. Our businesses grow and change. You and I have both been in this online space for, as I said, a decade basically. And it's like you grow and change as a person, and you have to come back to some of these things about branding and content and speaking and podcasting. And so this is sort of that reference point that you can always come back to and say, yes, I need to level up in this area. I'm curious, Christine, what was it like to write this book? Because as you said, it started out as audio content. How do you write a book from audio content?
I am someone who's very big into outsourcing, I have to be honest. So the audio content is great because it's you. There's nothing more real than you having a conversation. So we actually had someone come in, a ghostwriter come in, to give us a first draft. And then I went through it and made sure that it's actually completely my voice, who I am, that it's my point of view. It really helped me because I don't enjoy writing per se, but I do like a good message and I like a solid piece of work. So I knew that this has to be a book. Mm-hmm. It was meant to be a book. I just knew this is book material, sometimes there's something magical about books to study. I just think, when you think of the old wise one in a tower somewhere, there are books. So that is really how I considered this piece of work. So it was a lot of fun. Very interesting to see also how much changed, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and now a lot has changed. And that's why some chapters we just left out, and also some topics wouldn't make sense. Something like Facebook ads, it changes every 5 minutes. An Instagram algorithm, seriously, if there is one, nobody has really managed to do it yet. So it's really looking at what is essence, what is really time proven everlasting essence that is a truth rather than just a fad.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, we see, there are courses a dime a dozen on all the different fads on how to do this kind of challenge or that kind of ad or this kind of whatever. And it's like, you know what? Actually, to build a business, what you need is an offer.
Do this first.
Yes.
And then, yes, you can, of course. And I do mention it. This is the point where if you want to scale something or amplify, look into this, and I give resources. I have collaborators in the book as well who have their zones of geniuses that you can check out. Absolutely. It's a beautiful work. What I also wanted to say is that if you know someone who has this idea and is intimidated, I think it's a great book to gift to someone who you believe in, who might not see it themselves. And you're like, this is a start. This will give you the vision. You will know what to do. You can do everything at your own pace. But I think it's a beautiful sign to support someone who has this idea. And you can trust me, the people themselves will be in love with you, because it's rare. If you do start your own business, it's courageous. And whenever someone supports you, it's highly appreciated.
Yes, that's a great idea. So if you have that friend or family member who's always talking about, I think I want to do this thing. Yes. It sounds a little crazy. I don't know how to start. This is the perfect starting point, because it gives you that whole overview of the timeless, most essential pieces of building a business online, which has changed a little bit. And it shows you believe in them. And that's pretty beautiful. So amazing. Yeah. So is there anything, Christine, that you would kind of love to tell a younger version of yourself, like maybe some encouragement or words of wisdom or lessons learned that kind of looking back, and this is not your first book, right? But like, this was like your next iteration, the next book.
Yeah.
Is there anything
I
that
mean,
you would tell that younger version of yourself?
even that younger version that wrote the first book, I'm very proud of her. Like, she did it all. She learned it the hard way in some ways. But actually she did it in a very good, smart way in the end. It's like, when I look back, I think before I might have been more judgmental. And you change. Honestly, I don't know if it's age or if it's all the personal development that I've been doing, all the gazillions of coaches. But I think before I might have said, keep doing it. And now I'm like, no, actually, I'm very proud of her, for doing it, for sticking to it, doing every step. I can't say that there's anything that in my business I've been ashamed of that I've ever did. It was never from a place of greed or anything like that. It was always from a good place, trying all these different things. So, yeah, and she's here now. I really felt that I'm at the level of maturity and self, love, really, where I can share this in a way that is authentic.
One of the things, Christine, that I think I am most inspired by with you is that you mentioned it earlier, the egocentric business. I have seen you create multiple businesses now that really feed you, and you can see from the outside looking in, like, I can see that your businesses feed you. Is there anything that you would say to, like, the younger entrepreneur who's maybe, going to read this book and has all these, like, what would it be like to create a business that really satisfies me in my life? How do you do that? How do you create this kind of business that really fulfills you in this kind of way?
I think one thing that we really need to understand is how we work internally. And you can do that in however way you like, whether it is, personal development for sure, but whatever technique you can find to figure out how your essence works, whether it is a personality test like Myers-Briggs or I Love Human Design, for example, that has helped me a lot to pace myself, to understand when I should, have all engines roaring, when I shouldn't be doing anything and not feel bad about it. Because I think in the beginning, unfortunately, we all lack self-knowledge about us, about our energy system. And it burns us out fairly quickly because we are united, but we don't really know when the time is to be full throttle and when not to. So I think instead of just focusing on the strategy, really make sure that you do it hand in hand with your personal development versus struggling for 2-3 years and then losing complete hope and then figuring out that personal development is important. So that, I think, is my biggest piece of advice, is to don't neglect personal development. Like, if you can even do it first, like you can do these tests online, there's a few of them. Just figuring out how you tick, I think that would be a shortcut that would have helped me tremendously if I'd done it earlier.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. Looking back, I mean, the times when I have devoted myself to personal development while learning business techniques, like they play off each other. So yeah, either personal development first or sort of hand in hand. And We Mean Business really brings both to the table because you're going to need them from the beginning. And I mean, not that you and I are sort of like the end all be all examples, but I mean, we're running our businesses online, we have families. You just got back from like Sweden and Dubai and talking about Athens, like we have these really, I just got back from skiing, like, life can be fulfilling. And I love that you mentioned, like, yes, sometimes you're full throttle, like you are playing all out in that moment. And then sometimes you sort of lean back and say, I'm going to take a little bit of a breather. I'm going to go explore. I'm going to go refuel. And it almost cannot be overstated how important it is to know that about yourself, that but like when your energy is ready to lean in and when your energy needs to lean back out. Because I mean, we've all seen people who come in, they, all the energy at the beginning and then just out, burned out, disappear, never to be seen again. Yeah. It's like, well, if we're going to build this business, let's build it to be sustainable. Let's build it to really be fulfilling for us as people and for our families and for our mission in life. And I think we mean business really brings that whole perspective for us.
No, it really does.
Yeah. So you guys, paperravenbooks.com/we mean business. That is where you get your free copy of the book today. Click that link next to this video, grab a copy right now. And Christine, I'd love to know, is there anything that you would like to sort of say to your readers? Any last words for your readers?
There is, like, this book is infused with all the love and courage that I have for you. If you've picked it up, there's a reason. You have already an idea. You had it for a reason. And I'm 100% there for you. So that doesn't mean that I'm going to say, hire me as a coach, not at all. But it's literally like these pages are there for you. Like, they are there for you to scribble on them, to yell at them, to celebrate with them, to however you want to use them. But this book is here for you. Like, it's literally there for you to hold your hand during this journey. And if you've picked it up, there's so much love for you already. Like, it's already there.
Yes, it is your partner in the journey.
Exactly. It's like a little talisman, of knowing Christine wrote this book because she knew that I can do this, and you can. I honestly believe it. If you pick this book up, if you've read it, the blurb, and you were like, okay, then there's a reason, and I believe in you already.
Yes, 100%. Well, thank you for writing this book, Christine. I mean, it's exactly the book that I needed about 10 years ago. Yes, glad to have it now, and glad to be able to share it with other people in my life. They ask me, how did you do this? And now I can say, please read this book. It's called We Mean Business. It has everything you need.
Exactly. Here's the answer.
That's right. So thank you for writing this book. I think it is going to inspire and encourage and really give people heart to go and do and start a business and to do so in a way that's sustainable and profitable and really fulfilling. So thank you for writing this book. Y'all have an amazing day. Go grab the book, paperravenbooks.com/we mean business, all one word. Grab the free copy today, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank y'all. Bye.